saw an opportunity of really, and I did mention it, is an underutilized piece of property that was just prime for the taking. And not to put another building or another parking garage or another, classroom on it. It was an opportunity to really take a piece of land and turn it into something useful for our students. And again, the association took the initiative, paid for all the improvements, and gave it back as a gift to the student body and to Texas A&M for our students to enjoy on a daily basis.
Aggie Park, one of Texas A&M University's most iconic developments, sits at the intersection of tradition, innovation, and world-class engineering. This campus landmark is a vibrant, multifunctional gathering place for students, former students, families, and visitors. But the story behind Aggie Park is far more complex than a simple campus beautification project. It represents years of planning, countless engineering decisions, and a massive collaboration effort to solve long-standing problems in one of the busiest parts of campus. In this video, we'll explore the history, design, engineering disciplines, and specific case studies that brought Aggie Park to life, revealing the technical challenges, the civil engineering expertise, and the ingenuity that transformed a struggling green space into the heartbeat of modern Aggieland.
My name is Marty Holmes, class of '87. I'm vice president here at the association. Currently, I oversee all of our awards programs and all of our facilities, and certainly construction of new items. New assets. Yes, I was actually the owner in terms of an OAC meeting, an owner, architect, and contractor meeting. I was the owner for the association for the project, or the tip of the spear, if you will, for the project as our representative. Now we used Midway Corporation really as our owner representative in that, but in terms of a staff member, I was the point person on leading everything related to designing, building, constructing, negotiating contracts, and so forth for Aggie Park. I'm going to start with something that maybe you wouldn't expect, and that is that the Distinguished Alumnus Award is, there's a monument out there to the only roughly 340 former students out of almost 600,000 former students have received that award. It's the highest honor that can ever be bestowed upon a former student of Texas A&M. And it's on the highest piece of ground at the park. So little symbolic of the highest honor being upon the highest piece of land there. But it really gives something for students to look at, maybe to be inspired by or aspire to be at some point. But then obviously the lake, which is still unnamed, we're looking for a donor for that. But the lake is stocked with fish. A lot of people come to campus, some have never fished, some wish it's a little piece of back home, they can go down to the pond and fish and so forth. There's obviously a creamery there, an ice cream shop, lots of picnic tables and places for people to hang out and picnics and so forth, amphitheater. There's the wood stage where concerts and so forth are. And there's just there's a great connection on the far end of the park down behind the coldest parking garage, where Pinky Wilson, who wrote the Aggie War Hymn, is on one end of the lawn, and on the far end is the current students today sawing off the longhorns. And so here's a student, 1917, wrote the Aggie War Hymn, and here's the students of today sawing the horns off to the same song, and just that connection of lineage and legacy. And so, yeah, the park it's turned out to be a magnificent place for students to gather and former students as well.
Facts and figures. Project size, approximately 20 to 25 acres. Lake volume, approximately 6 million gallons. Project cost, estimated over $35 million. Design and construction, approximately 3 years. Tree work, approximately $3 million spent moving hundreds of trees. Pathways installed, over 1 mile of walking trails. Partner organizations, Texas A&M University, the Association of Former Students, landscape architects, civil and structural engineers, and construction management firms. Some associate firms included OJB and Midway. History of the site.
So Aggie Park is really it was a piece of land that was really unnamed, that held housed the vice president of student affairs home was there. The president of the university's home was there. There was a few workout monkey bars and chin-up bars and that kind of thing on one end of the park. And the Association of Former Students had a building on one end. It was really just a piece of unutilized or underutilized real estate right in the middle of the campus. And we saw an opportunity to enhance the student experience, and turn it into something that is magnificent today. You know, it was a lot of just bare land and dirt. There wasn't any established grass. There wasn't any established irrigation, except around the two homes that had previously been on that land. A lot of ravines. I'd call it even a mosquito pit to some extent, and a lot of runoff water and stormwater ravine that slowly would go into the underneath George Bush and into this city system. But it was just underutilized. So people would walk across the park, and there was probably a little tailgating in that park prior, but nothing to the extent that it is today.
Challenges engineers identified. Hydrology problems. The drainage ditch couldn't retain water and had no proper inflow or outflow system. Soil issues. High permeability zones caused seepage. Poorly compacted areas limited construction. Circulation problems. Students crossed the area in informal desire paths rather than structured walkways. Fragmented use. No unified programming. The space was simultaneously tailgating, dog walking, lounging, and event hosting.
So there's a couple of things. One is we wanted to beautify the campus, but we wanted to create a place where students could engage with each other, recreate, enjoy a nice atmosphere. There was no irrigation in the park at all. There was land that were ravines and deep valleys and so forth, and no really level space to even throw a frisbee or football or whatever. We felt like so many of the students, almost 80% of our student body lives off campus. And so creating a place where when they came to campus, they want to stay. They wouldn't just want to get back on the bus or a scooter and go right back to their apartment or their house or whatever. And so we really just wanted to create a wonderful environment for students to not only recreate, but really just to relax and enjoy and have a place where they could just, whether it be between classes or just come here and stay all day. And I think we've achieved that. We went through some meetings. They were called charrette sessions, where people brought all kinds of ideas, and there was everything from a dog park that was fenced off in there. There was a playground for kids. There was at one point there was going to be a building that was going to be on an island in the middle of the lake for events and so forth. And we took all those different ideas and really started to kind of work down to what made the most sense, what we felt would be the most useful. There was a big pickleball court there, lots of different things, but what we came out with is what we thought would be the most useful and the most beneficial long-term to the student body and to Texas A&M. And there's probably some things we might change or do differently or move around, but in general, we're very pleased with it, and I think the student body is as well.
Now let's break down how major civil engineering disciplines contributed to Aggie Park. Geotechnical engineering performed soil borings to map moisture content, density, and permeability, designed the subgrade for the new lake, adding bentonite and liners to prevent seepage, coordinated the relocation of mature trees, requiring engineered root ball excavations, helped regrade the site to create appropriate slopes for stormwater flow. Structural engineering designed the Creamery building's structural frame, concrete foundation, and lateral load systems, engineered the stage structure to support lighting rigs, sound equipment, and roof loads, and ensured the pedestrian bridges met load and deflection requirements. Water resource engineering designed the lake's hydrologic behavior, how it fills, drains, and circulates, rerouted a creek beneath a parking lot through new culverts, installed stormwater channels, bioswales, and retention systems, ensured the park could survive 100-year storm events. Transportation and infrastructure engineering improved walkway networks and integrated ADA-compliant routes, designed pedestrian bridges for flow and accessibility, enhanced campus circulation during game days, environmental engineering, conducted wildlife assessments and water quality studies, ensured compliance with SWPPP during construction, and evaluated impacts on local ecosystems and soil chemistry. Construction engineering and management managed timelines, subcontractors, materials, and equipment, coordinated operations during peak campus traffic, handled heavy earthwork, pond excavation, and bridge construction, and mitigated schedule risks like weather delays and tree transport timing. Case studies, in-depth engineering examples. Case study 1, geotechnical, moving mature trees. Relocating massive live oaks, some decades old, is no small task. Engineers first mapped root structures using ground-penetrating techniques. Root balls were then excavated with diameters up to 30 feet wide. Moisture monitoring ensured the soil remained stable during movement. Trees were lifted using hydraulic cranes and transported on multi-axle trailers. New planting zones used engineering soils with drainage layers and aeration tubing. This allowed Aggie Park to preserve its identity and natural shade canopy. Case Study 2, Water Resources, rebuilding the lake and creek systems.
There's some areas of the park where we had to bring in almost 12 feet of fill to make level surfaces. And whether that's got a lawn over it with an irrigation and a drainage system, or whether it's it's got pavers and sidewalks and places to traverse through the park. And so we had to do a lot of excavation work. I'd say that's as much as maybe more of a civil engineering project is than a park, because underneath the infrastructure under there, whether it's water, drainage, electricity, storm, all the storm water that used to come through the ravines that I mentioned, none of those go into the lake. It's stormwater neutral, the park is. So the only stormwater going into the lake is rainwater, is rain that comes to the surface. The stormwater that goes through and around the campus, that all comes through a culvert that goes around the lake. And the parking lot that we have here at our building, underneath that is a stormwater cistern that'll hold 17 acre-feet of water. There's these 12-foot, I'm going to call them Legos, connected with holes in it in the middle that hold again. And if you go the stormwater all the way up Houston Street to almost towards the MSC, it holds 19 acre-feet of water in the stormwater system. And the only rainwater going into the lake is what's off of the surface. There's no stormwater going into the lake. One, because we got fish in there, we want to keep them clean, keep them alive. But that's probably the most intricate part of that park, is the whole stormwater system and drainage system.
Case Study 3, Construction, Structural, Building the Event Center and Stage. The Aggie Park Event Center blends structural engineering with construction management. Structural details, reinforced concrete foundation designed for variable soil conditions. Structural steel framing for large open interior spaces. Lateral systems capable of handling College Station wind loads. Roof designed for added load from mechanical systems and potential expansion. Construction challenges. Campus access restrictions required night and early morning deliveries. Weather delays demanded schedule compression. Coordination with landscaping and utilities meant sequencing was extremely tight. Tailgating seasons forced construction pauses and protective measures. Despite these obstacles, engineers and contractors delivered a flexible, durable facility that supports thousands of Aggies throughout the year. Aggie Park's success came from synergy between engineering disciplines. Hydrology informed the grading plan, which shaped walkways and bridges. Geotechnical findings dictated foundation design for structures. Water resources engineering guided the layout of utilities and landscaping. Construction engineering wove all components into a cohesive timeline. Perhaps the best example of interdependence is the lake. Creating it required rebuilding pedestrian routes, constructing bridges, rerouting drainage, and coordinating tree relocation. Aggie Park exists because every discipline worked together, each influencing and supporting the rest. Future development.
We're in the middle of raising money for an additional building that's a supplemental building to the Clayton Williams Jr. Alumni Center. And it's going to be called the Brower Center. The lead donor has already been established. It's going to be just shy of 70,000 square feet building. It's going to be shared between us and Student Affairs. It will host our campus programs team, our campus engagement team, our Aggie Ring office, and there'll be a coffee shop and a cafe in it. And student affairs will take up a big portion of that building just for student space for studying, as well as using at night for organizational meetings and that kind of thing. There'll be a large ballroom in it for ring day and ring delivery. So you'll actually order your ring in that building and receive your ring in that building. We design it so that buses will come around the circle drive right in front of the creamery and drop students off. They'll work their way through and queuing lines, if you will, and into the building, and then out the other side towards the Haynes Ring Plaza and our large Aggie Ring here at Clayton Williams Jr. Alumni Center, and get on the bus and head back to whatever they want to do to celebrate.
Aggie Park isn't just a beautiful space, it's a masterclass in civil engineering collaboration. From geotechnical challenges and water resource redesign to structural innovation in construction management, engineers played a central role in transforming a struggling park into an iconic campus landmark. This project shows how civil engineering disciplines don't work in isolation. They interconnect, overlap, and depend on one another. Aggie Park stands as a living testament, reminding us that the best spaces are built on teamwork, creativity, and thoughtful engineering.